Don't ever allow another human being, a group of people, family, friends, romantic partner, whatever, to rob you of your ability to live a life of happiness and of light and of knowing that there's always a tomorrow and the potential for a better future. Hello, Sagittarius. Welcome to your June soul session. I'm Princess India if you're new, and if you're family, welcome back, my friend. And what's not to or whatever. If you're not familiar with what my soul sessions are, they are your spirituality, as well as personal development readings in which we look at the energies that you guys may encounter for a given month for the sole purpose of giving you clarity, insight, and guidance and whatnot or whatever. So anywho, card just flew out. And the card that flew out is the Death card. So of course that is Scorpio energy. So what it is looking like, my wonderful Sagittarius friend, is you guys coming out of May and into June. You guys are in a transition. 9 times out of 10, what it is that may have potentially ended for you guys was on or around the super full moon eclipse in Sagittarius, which was on the 26th of May. And of course, we know with eclipse energy, it causes things to be eclipsed out of our lives. If I piggyback off of my intern real quick, Selena, shout out to you, homie. She was telling me about, and we talked about it in our reading in the Couture Soul Collective on my network, in our weekly reading. We did a whole lecture on it and things about this 9-year cycle since 2012. So the theme I have been finding for all of the readings this month is that within this last 9-year span, going back to May of 2012, there are lessons that were intended for one to learn. And it's lessons specifically in reference to, the South Node, which is in Sag, your sign, and the North Node being in Gemini, in which it's more or less the last 9 years has been about you, not you specifically, but I mean, collectively, people aligning with what other people wanted collectively, or standards or molds or, societal ideals, all that good stuff. And now we're transitioning into a time to where you're aligning with your own personal truth. So there was like a collective truth and then your personal truth. So if we put that from macro to micro, my friend, we're talking about different experiences that you guys have had, whether it's relationships, friendships, jobs, what have you, that were not necessarily in alignment with your highest good or your truth, and those things phasing out of your life and thus thrusting you into an entire new stratosphere where things you may have not wanted to end or fear would end or you didn't foresee ending. And then kind of being into this new energy, which leads us into our next 2 cards, which is the Ace of Swords in the reverse and the World in the reverse. So with the Ace of Swords in the reverse, it's a lack thereof of mental clarity. It's not being able to, see where you are, what you're doing, what the end goal is. And BTW, the World card, of course, speaks to the energy of the fixed signs, which would be Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo, right? So the World card is speaking to unfinished business. So more or less, whatever this ending was that you guys experienced in the latter part of May, has you guys coming into June, like the first week of June, with a lack thereof of mental clarity, like kind of, and I said this with some other signs, like the rug is being pulled from under you. You're not really sure, I don't want to necessarily go as far as saying who you are, where you are, and what you're doing, but it's more or less like not really knowing what the next move is. It's a great deal of confusion, but the reason for that confusion is a sense of unfinished business from this past cycle, right? Or this past situation, and it's not really understanding, what happened or what was the purpose of it, or why did this happen this way, So it's more or less speaking to a desire for closure is really what it is that I'm feeling here. It's, kind of, if I were to put it into an example, it would be almost like being, happily in love in a relationship, and then you wake up one day and the person that you're with is just gone. Like they break up with you and you have no idea why. Like you don't know what the cause of it was. You don't know where all of this came from because it just came literally out of nowhere because everything was fine one moment and then it suddenly wasn't, right? So it's kind of trying to get your bearings in such of a situation. I said something very similar with another sign. It might have been Scorpio. So if you guys are Scorpio, Sag cusps, I would say go back and watch that. But then again, it could have been with Libra. I'm not 100% sure. But the next card that we have is the Chariot, which is Cancerian energy. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles. So this is more or less going back to something else I said. It's 311. Amber is the color of your energy. Whoa. Okay, I'm going to stop. Anyway, I really hope that that doesn't get like flagged and I get like a copyright claim. Anyway, so anywho, with the Chariot and the Knight of Pentacles, this is speaking to the energy of slow and steady winning the race. So more or less with it falling under this death card, and I love how my readings are so short all of a sudden. It's interesting. But anywho, with the Chariot falling under the death card is more or less letting you know, Sag, that whatever this is that had ended, whatever it is that caused this period at the end of the sentence, it's speaking to a simultaneous ending and new beginning, right? So the key is not so much to get stuck here and, you know, fixated on this particular ending, but it's more or less to redirect your focus to the future, right? Like to what's next. However, I understand that with this being something that's a shock, right? That where you guys are in this first week of June, which is kind of discombobulated, it's completely understandable. But kind of like I was saying in the weekly last week, which is that, you know, the biggest misconception with closure is that someone else is supposed to give it to you. But I know from personal experience, whether it's as an individual or as a therapist, that, you know, even if a person does give you an answer, it's like that closure ultimately is going to come from you. And it's rooted in an acceptance of the situation of it's over. You know what I mean? And you're never going to know the 360 degrees of like why. And I don't know why it's like I'm thinking of like true crime right now, but it's kind of like that unrest you feel if you watch a true crime documentary on Netflix, right? And the person is like still missing and no one has any idea what happened to this person. It's like that, you know, undone feeling that you have, right? And that's kind of like the vibe that I'm getting from this. But there's, you know, certain times in life where acceptance isn't necessarily you getting the full picture. It's just accepting that this transpired, acknowledging, no, it's not fair. And yes, you would like it to matriculate differently, or you would like it to have been different, but still coming back to the acceptance that it isn't. You know what I mean? And not necessarily putting yourself in a place to where, you know, kind of feeling like it's unfair, like why me type of deal, you know, which is things that are completely understandable. Because it seems like for me, the 5 stages of grief are something that's showing up a lot in the readings. So of course, again, with this Knight of Pentacles is speaking to taking your time. Like that's why I say slow and steady wins the race. This thing that ended for a reason. And the higher spiritual energy, you could say, is suggesting for you guys to move forward. Like the purpose of it is in some way, shape, form, or fashion. This is something that just wasn't on your pathway. But of course, being objective and not emotionally tied into it, it's easier to say that from an objective point as opposed to you guys subjectively being in this situation if you resonate with it and moving forward. So that's why I acknowledge that this confusion or this feeling of unfinished business is totally normal. But whenever you guys are ready, the goal is to move forward, however, to move forward slowly with this Knight of Pentacles. And oh, wow. The next card that you guys have is the Justice in reverse. So it's really feeling like this is unfair. The 8 of Pentacles in the reverse. So here's the thing. with this justice in the reverse, it's more or less feeling like what it is that you guys have been through. That's Libra energy, by the way. What you guys have been through, it's almost like a mindset of feeling like I did everything right. I did everything I was supposed to do, and it still didn't work out. And I don't understand why this didn't work out type of deal. And there's two different paths that you guys can go to from this point. Because with this Eight of Pentacles in the reverse being at the bottom of you guys' deck, that's more or less speaking to like allowing this death card, the energy that's starting this out, like this ending, whatever this is, to like rob you of your joy or of your sanity, of your mental stability, you know, of your quality of life, right? To where whatever this loss is, it's now affecting everything it is that you do. And the loss doesn't necessarily have to be the loss of a person or like the loss of a job, you know, or money or what have you. It could literally be the loss of confidence. It could be, you know, a loss of a sense of security, you know, anything of that nature. It's just a period at the end of the sentence in this ending that leaves you guys confused. But the advice more or less is to move forward slowly. But I feel that there's a block here that's starting to bleed into other facets of your life because it's, you know, feeling there's unfinished business here, feeling jilted and feeling that all of this is just not fair. Like, and I said this with Cancer too, and some other signs. This sounds a lot like another sign I did. I just can't remember it at the moment, but it's just like you got the short end of the stick, you know? It's like, why me? Why did this happen to me? This just isn't fair. And of course, what we focus our attention on continues to grow. So the forewarning with this, Sag, especially with this Eight of Pentacles in the reverse being here, is this ending, whatever this is that happened in May, was an opportunity for you to be set free, right? But as a human being, it's totally understandable that if something like this transpires, that a person is going to not feel that it's in your highest good, because it's like, where's the good in this? Like, what lesson am I supposed to learn from this, right? And I feel that really just goes back to a question of one's belief system, which is why I stress this with you guys so much. It's like life is a sense of semi-organized chaos, right? Nothing in human life on planet Earth is fair, right? There are no cheat codes to this. It's like we're on a planet that's spinning, you know, in this vortex of a universe within a galaxy with a myriad of different planets surrounding it, with an influx of, you know, consistent energy influences, with people who come from stable families, people who come from unstable families, who are emotionally stable and who aren't emotionally stable. There are horrible people in this world who do really shit things to people, who take advantage of people, lie to people, scam people, you know what I mean? Violate people, murder people. That might get me flagged. But these are all things that really happen in this life, right? And the only thing that we do every day is use different situations, circumstances, people, and scenarios, or try to follow these methodologies or ideologies or systems or patterns in hopes of giving ourselves some sense of a false sense of security, as if we're in control of our lives or things that happen around us. And when we work that process and it still doesn't work, it leaves us in this place of complete confusion of, I did everything right, right? And this is even making me think of conversations that I've had in groups when I was in church, of there would be people who are like, you know, I went to church every Sunday. I read my Bible, you know, I didn't have sex before marriage, and I got married, and then I had sex, and then I, you know, went to college and I finished, and I had a nice job and bought the home and then had the kids. It's like I did everything right. And then my partner still did this, right? And the thing is there is no cheat code in life, man. It's not. So it's understandable with this energy that you guys are feeling, because it's literally unfinished business, because it's not understanding. It's like confused. It's like, I put one and one together. Why is this not two? You know, type of deal. So it's like, it's understandable. However, where our belief systems become our salvation is because whatever your life ethos is, whatever your belief about life is, it gives you a sense of solace to try to make sense out of these X factors and crazy things that happen in life. If one doesn't have that, you're at the, will of life and everyone around you. And it ends up becoming, a reliance on this system. And it's a very terrifying thing to think at the fact that following a system doesn't necessarily guarantee success. I don't know how this is becoming this whole like TED Talk lecture, but I feel compelled to say it, so I'm just gonna say it. But even if we use YouTube as an example, you can be extremely talented, extremely well-read, you can be freaking hilarious and feel compelled to start a YouTube channel, right? And somehow it's like the algorithm isn't in favor of it and people never see your video. It's not because you're not good or you're not talented or your content isn't good. It's just the fact that the algorithm may not like whatever it is the algorithm doesn't like, and people aren't able to see it. But it's not a statement of who it is that you are. It doesn't mean that you're not enough. It doesn't mean that you're not a good person. It doesn't mean that you didn't follow the system right. Like you don't have the right camera or the right microphone or the right lighting. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. It's just a computer system that is, just biased to what it's programmed to like and not like type of deal. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's a weird example, but literally it's like, that's the whole vibe that I'm feeling for what I'm seeing with you guys. It's like, it's feeling that you got the short end of the stick in a situation, and it's more or less internalizing this experience. And the experience, or the death, if you will, is like an algorithm. It's something that was programmed that isn't a respecter of persons, just like the system of life. You know what I mean? It's like, or if you're, a believer, just like it says in the Bible, God isn't a respecter of persons. It isn't that, blessings, money, success comes to good people. That's the way that our society conditions us to believe, that only certain types of people who are inherently the idyllic person are the ones who rise to the top and are successful, and people who aren't enough are the ones who remain at the bottom. That's not true. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, who makes it to the top and who doesn't isn't always a matter of hard work. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's connection. Sometimes it's who you know. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just literally a stroke of luck. Sometimes it's literally just what's in your birth chart. You know what I'm saying? It gets like that deep with stuff. But I say all of that to say, Sag, that whatever it is that you guys are dealing with in this beginning part of June, it's something that was intended for one's highest good, whatever this is that you guys, lost. Innocence, security, stability, job, what have you. Granted, I understand how difficult it is to see that this is working in your highest good, because of course, that's me speaking from my belief system. If one doesn't have that belief system, it just kind of feels like you're living this life and, shit stuff happens. You have no control over it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like someone kind of, picking people off from a watchtower or something like that. It's like, we don't know who gets what or why. You know what I'm saying? And that can be crippling, but the fact of the matter is it would behoove you guys to learn what it is that you can from the situation and move forward slowly within reason. However, if this justice in the reverse energy takes root, it can start to bleed into all aspects of your life where it's almost teetering on like losing hope in a situation. You know what I'm saying? Because I look at when we feel slighted about something, or we internalize too much that life is unfair, situations and circumstances are just unfair, and we're stuck on a broken record of what has transpired in the past, we end up becoming a prisoner to it. you know, and it over time embitters us. It makes us angry and hardens our heart. And then that taints every part of our life like a virus or like a cancer. And all of this because of a misunderstanding or an inability or a refusal to see the light at the end of the tunnel, you know? But like I say, all of that goes back to one's belief system. If one believes that there isn't good that comes out of bad, or that, you know, shit stuff happens and that's just what it is, you know what I'm saying? Then that's what it's gonna be. But it's like we don't have control over what happens. We do have full control over how it is that we choose to perceive what it is that occurs and how it is that we're going to respond to it. So the biggest message and takeaway from you guys reading this month is your perspective. You know, it's like whatever happened, happened, but you have full power and control over how it is that you choose to move forward from this, or if you choose to not move forward at all, is what I'm saying. I hope that this helps, Sagittarius. I really hope that it did. I'm going over to my networks to do you guys extended. We're going to play out these cards for the rest of the month. And we're going to do our little pick a card for some additional advice for you guys. So if you're about that life, please follow me over there, my friend. If not, it's totally okay. I love your face. And I will see you guys sooner than later. Stay strong, Sagittarius. Take this time in Mercury retrograde to really reflect on your life. Don't allow whatever this is for you guys to rob you of joy, to rob you of the truth that you can, you know, get over this. You can move past this, you know, and there is life and light after this. Don't ever allow another human being, a group of people, family, friends, romantic partner, whatever, to rob you of your ability to live a life of happiness and of light and of knowing that there's always a tomorrow and the potential for a better future. I love your face, Sag. I'll see you guys soon. Hopefully on the network. Love your face.